Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, DP.
Good evening, Hanivesh. Good evening. Before we start the program, one small request. The morning we had the Tamil version of the same program. It went to about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And people were finding it very interesting and enriching. Some people who are there in the morning session are also here today. I'm sure they'll watch for it. So I sincerely hope that you wouldn't mind, because however much we tried to contain it within 2 hours, there was we had some time constraint, so we had to extend it. Hope you all don't mind that. Anyway, for the entire session, we'll put you on mute, but we'll be able to unmute yourself. If you have a question, you can just stop, Mr. Arun, and you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Otherwise, I request you all to please be on mute. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Arun.
Good evening, everyone. A very, very warm welcome to all of you. It's very nice to see you. Give me 2-3 hours of your Sunday evening. I hope it will be interesting and you will enjoy it. My only request is, let's make it as interactive as possible, because this interaction is what dragged the morning session on, but we all found it very, very interesting. Now, before I proceed further, as usual, I'd like to offer a caveat. I'm not going to be talking about anything which you already do not know. I have not forgotten that I am in the midst of accomplished business leaders who are very experienced, very knowledgeable in whatever they are doing. My attempt is going to be to structure everything that we know in a format which will be easily digestible. And maybe at the end of the day, you will be able to identify 1 or 2 takeaways which you could implement immediately and enrich your business experience. So let's start. Let me start by sharing the screen. I'm not going to go into the background of, who came up with the word ecosystem and how James Moore adopted it and all that. I'm going to start with the hero of this story. Meet the hero of this story. I can see that many of you are recognizing yourself. Yes, that's precisely what an industrialist starts the day with: opening the office, does all the jobs. He's at the beck and call of every individual in and around him, that is the customer, the employee, the seller, everyone. And then he closes the day by securing the office, going home, thinking everything is over, only to find that as soon as he reaches home, a telephone call comes that he is again needed for something. That is precisely what it is, and you enjoy doing it. You're full of energy, you're full of enthusiasm, extremely courageous and enterprising. But friends, there is a flip side to it. And what is that flip side? This is the flip side. Absolutely, you have no time for anything else other than doing the day-to-day work. Maybe this is the reason why in a survey it was found that India, companies grow at the slowest pace, even after 40 years. The survey by two leading specialists, management experts, one of them from Stanford, the other from Chicago, they found that in India, the growth is only 40% at the end of 40 years for most companies. Yes? Okay. At the end of 40 years, most companies, the growth is only 40%. In Mexico, it is more than that, and in US, it is as high as 7 times what it was when the company started. This possibly is the reason. So friends, what we will do is, we will take a decision today to break out of this and chart a course to success and build our company by understanding the ecosystem in which we are operating. We all know all the elements of the ecosystem. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I'm absolutely sure that you'll be able to recognize each and every single one of the ecosystem elements that I'm going to talk about. You are going to be able to relate to all the 8 buckets which we are going to be discussing about. But what we are going to be doing is, we are going to be looking at it in such a way, in such a structured manner, that possibly you will find there are 1 or 2 things that you could immediately attend to set things right and correct the course. Aristotle said, well begun is half done. But then we are not in the beginning stage. Many of us are already in the industry for quite some time. But never mind. Let's make a beginning. Let's relook into it. Let's introspect and understand the elements of the ecosystem. Assuming that this boat is your business, the first thing which is required for this boat is water on which to float. That is your business environment. We'll be looking at it. Having started the journey, you require a steering wheel to steer it to the destination. That is the third element of the ecosystem. Destination is the third element. The steering wheel is the second element. The steering wheel is nothing but the business model. The fourth, as they say, a ship does not sink because of the water around it. A ship sinks because of the water inside it. We are going to see how to prevent the water from entering into the ship, what to do, what not to do, so that the water does not enter into the ship. And the forward movement is because of the sails, which are the best practices and the benchmarking, which helps you move forward. Can you please mute everyone, Mr. Durga Prasad? Yeah. Then we have the compass, which tells you in which direction you are going. It is the management information system, the feedback and the control formats which you have in your organization, which tells you in which direction you are going. And then you have the weather, the disruptive forces. We are in the midst of one such disruptive force. Yes, friends, the ecosystem accounts for everything, even the disruptive forces it accounts for. And it tells us what we should be doing so that we can overcome whenever such a disruptive force makes its appearance in our business life. And finally, we have the other boards, that is the competition. The one on the left, immediate left, business model, and the one on the right, competition, we are faced with every day. Let us see one by one what they are. Meet Francis J. Aguilar. He's the one who started the whole game. In 1964, Aguilar joined Harvard Business School as a professor. And in 1967, he published a novel by the name The Ecosystem, Understanding the Business Environment. Scanning the Business Environment was a novel which he published, which was a huge success. And it started the understanding of the ecosystem process. He introduced the concept of pest, political, economic, social, and technological. Slowly it grew, and over a period of time, it came to be known as the pestle analysis. Aguilar is supposed to have started the pestle analysis. What is the pestle analysis? The pestle analysis is nothing but understanding your business environment under three heads. The first is the political climate in which you are going to be doing the business. The second is are the economic factors which are prevalent at that time. The third is the social factors which influence your business, the demographic factors which influence the business, the culture, the distribution of people, sexes, age, the earning capacity, everything. Then we come to the technological factors. What sort of a technology is being used in the environment at that time? Then we come to the legal factors. What are the legal policies of the government? And number 6, environmental factors. Now, is this what we came here to do? Just read out 6 points. And what would one understand if we were to just do like this? No. What we are going to do is, we are going to understand pestle analysis through the experience of a person who started his business life with just 20,000 rupees at the age of 18 in Ludhiana, and is today the 6th richest man in India and a world figure in his own rights. The man is none other than SUNIL Bharati Mittal. How this pestle analysis and how he got affected when he ignored it, and how he came to be what he is today, because of understanding the pestle analysis, is what we are going to see and understand the importance of pestle analysis. When SUNIL Bharati Mittal was 18 years old and in Ludhiana, after having completed his studies, or rather the high school schooling, and after having completed the primary education of the college, he took 20,000 rupees loan from his father, who was a politician, and started doing business. He was a first generation entrepreneur. He started a factory manufacturing cycle crankshafts and supplying to cycle industry there. But that was the time when the scooter boom came. He did not think about all those things. He just wanted to do business like many people. He just jumped into business. From there, he thought, okay, let me enter into yarn business. He entered into yarn business. Again, that time the textile boom was there. He couldn't do much about it. Then he decided, let me manufacture stainless steel sheets. So he started making stainless steel sheets. He went to Delhi, Bombay, and other places to sell, and he found he had a tremendous penchant for selling. He was a very good salesperson, but did not find his company moving in any way forward. He started in 1976 after struggling for 4 years and seeing that nothing could be achieved. He sold off whatever was there of his company and shifted to Bombay. In one of his visits to Delhi, he happened to meet the Suzuki portable generator company representative. Now, they were trying to build a network in India. India was reeling under electricity problem at that time. There was severe electricity shortage, power shortage. Power outages used to be very common. Shops and industrial establishments and hotels, restaurants, everyone were being affected by these power outages very often. So there was a huge need for portable generators. SUNIL, he jumped into it. He started importing, Suzuki generators, and he started selling. Within a very short span, he started this in 80. Within a very short span of 2 to 3 years, he built his business to 2 crore turnover. 2 crore in 1983. Can you imagine how big the business must have been? How vast must have been his network? But then, what happens when the young do business without thinking happened to SUNIL? He did not foresee that there would be any problem. He did not think that others would also be aware that power outages was a problem. Two big industrial houses were also working at it. One of them was the Birlas, the other was the Shriram group of Tamil Nadu. The Birlas were trying to collaborate with Yamaha and take a manufacturing license in India, while the Shriram group were collaborating with Hondas. And both of them, when they applied for the license, they got the license, and they also influenced the government to ban import of foreign generators, portable generators. In 1983, the entire empire that Sunil Bharti Mittal had built came crashing down when the government banned import of portable generators. And what he was doing with this Suzuki generator got replaced by Shriram Honda and Birla Yamaha. Second time in his life, he was back to where he had begun, which is nothing. But Sunil Bharti Mittal was not a man to give up. He had gone to Taiwan once and he had seen push-button telephones. He thought, okay, now let me make push-button telephones because telecom industry is booming in India. He tried to apply for a license to manufacture push-button telephones. He could not get it. But then he could get permission to assemble. So he got push-button telephone components from various parts of the world and manufactured and marketed this push-button phone in India called MITTAL. MITTAL sounds like a German name, but in fact, it stands for Mittal Brothers. MITTAL. As the telecom industry was booming and he was doing this, suddenly the government decided that we will issue licenses. They decided to issue 52 licenses for telephone manufacturing. Immediately, this time he was not keeping quiet. He jumped into it, got one of the licenses and launched this telephone, which made a huge impact in the market, called Beetle. He even went on to manufacture fax, EPA, BX machines and everything. By 1990, Sunil Bharti Mittal had again built a 25 crore turnover company. Beetle had extended to 25 crores. It was a massive achievement. But this time he was very careful. He kept his eyes and ears open. In one of his visits to Goa on a vacation, he happened to read a newspaper. Again, the sky came crashing down on his head. The news was that mobile telephony was coming to India and the government was contemplating issuing licenses. This time he did not keep quiet. Straight from there he rushed to Delhi, started understanding what all this was about. This was in 1991. He understood, he found out that mobile telephony licenses for 4 regions were going to be given. And one of the clause was that anyone who can apply for this license had to have experience in telecom industry. He immediately converted his manufacturing of these Beetles into an experience into telecom industry, but he did not have the technology for getting into mobile telephony. At that time, a number of foreign companies were trying. Telstra was trying. Vande of France was trying. Telstra was already talking about collaboration with Modi. So this gentleman, Sunil Bharti Mittal, spoke with Vande and together with Vande struck a deal and came and applied for a license. He got it. And in 1994 was launched Bharti Cellular, which is known as Airtel. Today you know what Airtel is. Today Sunil Bharti Mittal, as per last count, which I know, was estimated to be the owner of 5,000 crore rupees. And then he started growing in India. With the influx of foreign companies, Vodafone and others, he decided that India is going to become a difficult market. Let me find out some other market where I can build the company. He identified Africa. People laughed at him. And initially, his detractors were proved right because Airtel made huge losses. But then, recently it has been found that Africa is the one which is sending him love bomb as Indian Airtel operation is recording losses. $423 million was the last profit which Africa has made. Today, Africa is the backbone for Airtel. Gentleman Sunil Bharti Mittal is the ideal example of an individual who read the pestle properly and has built his company. Let us move forward. So the business environment is very important to build a company, true. But once the business environment has been understood, the next step is for a business model. Now I'll ask you a question. When do you think the concept of business model first was recognized in this world? Can any one of you tell me? Mr. Durga Prasad?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I'll request you all to participate. That way the session can become more interesting, and the more you challenge me, I will be able to come up with explanations for it. For the simple reason that this session is going to be a combination of what has been taught in the biggest universities of the world and my 42 years of experience. So the more you challenge me, the more I will be able to deliver value. Yes. So when do you think was the first time the concept of business model came in this world? Yes, Mr. Durga Prasad. Is anyone answering?
So 1990.
Who is that?
Suresh.
Yes, Mr. Suresh Kapadi. 1990. Okay. Anyone else?
Officially Lee Canvas model is I think in 2005 or 6. Lee Canvas business model.
Okay. Next. When on the first might not have been possible at the time, but let me tell you that business model is very popular even today. Can anyone tell me, anyone else would render a guess? Okay, I will give you one more clue. This business model is very famous by the name of hook and bait business model. Hook and bait business. There are 17 business models, recognized business models, out of which the leader, the most used and the earliest is the hook and bait business model. Can anyone guess which company came with it and when it was?
Eureka Forbes.
Who is that?
This is Uday Kumar from Mantra.
Okay, Eureka Forbes is your answer. Which year was it?
No, yeah, I don't have any idea regarding the year.
Okay. Yes, anybody else? Okay, let me start. Business model was started by this gentleman. His name is King Camp Gillette. And the year is 1904. Gillette Company was opened in 1901. During those days, the razor which was used was something very much like this. Only thing is now this is plastic. At that time it was iron. And shaving used to be a big problem because the blades used to get blunted very often. And the technology for sharpening it was very primitive. And the sharpening used to render uneven edges, leading to a lot of scraping of the skin of the face. The only objective in front of King Camp Gillette was how to deliver a smooth shave without hurting oneself. That was the objective in front of him. And in 1901, he started the company Gillette. In 1904, he hit upon what is called the hook and bait model. At that time, it was not called the hook and bait. In due course, what he did showed what the hook and bait model is. This is the hook and bait model. You can see the stem is very stylishly designed. And the top is where the blade goes in. He patented this. Now, everybody who copied it could not do it exactly like this. He sold the value of this patent and built it to such an extent that Gillette started selling very well. But as it grew, you can see that on November 15th, 1904, Gillette had patented the thin razors that are being used even till date, but only things in a different way. In 1921, when it went out of patent, he suddenly dropped the price of the stem. He made it dirt cheap, but kept the price of the blades very high. Now you will recognize where the hook and bait comes. The hook is the free distribution of the stem, or the very, very economical distribution of the stem, and the bait is the high-priced blades which he sells. Today, gentlemen, this is the hook, which is priced at absolutely nothing. But we again and again go and pay 500 rupees for 4 blades. And just because we have the hook free in our house, we don't throw it away. We go and buy the 500 rupees blade. And this hook and bait is being used even by companies like Apple, Adobe, and most companies. Adobe gives you the Adobe Reader free, but charges you a bomb for the Adobe Writer. Apple sells you the main product and then keeps on charging you for all the downloads and additions to it. Reliance, when they came out with the mobile, they gave you the mobile free and started charging you for the airtime. This is the hook and bait model which is being used extensively. One other company by the name Keurig, they were into making coffee. But what happened was their coffee was not selling. So what they did, they purchased a company which was making hardware. And they sold this coffee maker for a throwaway price of 120 and became millionaires by selling these refills for $1 each. They today have a $580 million turnover on only the refills. They became successful by investing not on marketing, but on investing in the coffee maker, the hardware. This is the hook and bait model. You can see on the right hand side, Gillette Mac, stem and blade together is $7, blades alone are $4. And you keep buying the blades only because the stem you have free at home. Is this what we are going to be talking about in business model? Is this business model? No, my dear friends. This is not business model. This is one part of the business model. People were thinking that this is business model till Joan Magreta in 2002 told what a real business model is. She's a contemporary of Michael Porter, who is known as the father of competitive management, an MBA from Harvard, who went on to do a PhD there and won the McKinsey Award in 1998. She is a senior partner in Baines Consulting and a senior associate at the Institute of Strategy and Competitiveness at Harvard Business School. She's an extremely accomplished person, and she was the first person to define what a business model really means. And the business model she propounded encompasses everything which a business should be doing. She started off with the single word, purpose. People were, the rug was pulled from under their feet. People thought, what purpose? The purpose of business, after all, is to make money. She explained to everyone that the purpose of business is different from making money. Money is a byproduct of following your purpose. When Gillette was sold and purchased by Procter & Gamble, you see, as I told you, the purpose of King Camp Gillette was to provide a smooth shave which did not hurt, which did not do any damage to the skin. But when Procter & Gamble purchased it, they changed the purpose of Gillette. The purpose, according to them, was to appeal to the best in men. They wanted to appeal to the best in men. And then what happened, you see, through this advertisement.
You have to share your computer screen, Mr. Arun. Computer sound you have to share.
Enache? Okay.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding
bullying,
the Me Too movement against sexual
toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie. Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool, not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
That's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
Nowhere does Gillette talk about their razor or shaving accessories. But when they align their advertising to their purpose, that is to appeal to the best in men, the association becomes obvious. And gentlemen, you'll be surprised to know that Gillette has got a 54% market share the world over in shaving accessories and blades, razors. Let us see one more example before we move forward. We all know that Steve Jobs was sacked from Apple and he came back to Apple and took over as the permanent CEO in 1998. When he took over, he had just 1 month money in the company to pay his salaries and other things. Because Apple had moved away from the blue ocean into a red ocean and they had lost all the money. He decided to reinvent Apple and go back to the philosophy with which Apple was begun. And that philosophy was to honor and serve people who could change the world. So he came out with an advertising which he has followed till today, which has made Apple the best company in the world with the highest reserve. On 2014, as per reports, Apple had 3 times the reserves of the US government. US government had $49 billion and Apple had $158 billion. Just see how he aligned what he was going to tell the world with a purpose.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
This simple alignment of purpose and messaging has made Apple what it is. There are innumerable other examples. There is one company which sells commodities, whose objective is to honor, appreciate, and serve the best in athletics. I'm sure you would have guessed by now the company is none other than Nike. It only makes shoes. It doesn't talk about soles. It doesn't talk about anything. It only talks about excellence in athletics. Just do it. There is another company which was started as a very small unit with a purpose to enrich and empower the poor, which is a world-leading brand in cosmetics and toiletry today called Body Shop. When we have purpose, everything falls into place. Whatever obstacle comes, we overcome that. All that we need to do is understand the purpose of what we are doing. Purpose helps you set long-term business strategy. Long-term business strategy is the most essential component for growth of an organization. Second thing is, it improves retention rate of your employees. Attrition is the biggest curse in any company. It has been found that 33% of the company's revenue goes away with every individual who leaves the company. What he has brought in, 33% goes away. Purpose improves retention rate because people, when they work for a purpose, they are more committed. Purpose helps you to understand what sort of a people to recruit. Purpose increases employees' pride and engagement. And above all, it makes your employee your brand ambassador. He talks with pride about you. Let me give you a simple example of a company. I want you to guess which this company is. This company is started by two people whose purpose was to provide, to record knowledge and information and provide it to the world with just one click. Can you tell me which company it is? The purpose with which the company was started was to record and store information and knowledge and provide it to the world with one click. Huh?
Google.
Bang on target. See how easy it is? When the purpose is clear, automatically you know who it is. Another company's purpose was to create a marketplace where people can trade. Can anyone tell which is that purpose? Which is that company?
Amazon?
Huh?
Amazon?
No, Alibaba.
Alibaba.
Yes, Amazon was the biggest shop in the world. So you see, when your purpose is obvious, these are not, what do you call it, your catchphrases or anything like that. It is a purpose which is a company is started. And purposes can evolve and change and improve as you go forward. Bain & Company recently did a survey and they found that a satisfied employee's productivity level is 100. A highly engaged employee's productivity level is 144. But the productivity level of an employee that is truly inspired by the purpose of their employer is a whooping 225%. When you are able to convey a real purpose to your people, one man becomes 2.25 men. Imagine how big an achievement it is. That is purpose. This is what Juan Margreta brought the world to understand. When your purpose is clear, you know what capability is required for it. Let us not forget, the Steve Jobs might have been a creative person, but he knew nothing about technology. But he knew everything about getting the people who could do it. He built not one, but two giants. He built Pixar, a digital artistic studio, and also he built Apple. And he didn't know anything about either the computers or graphic designing. He knew from where to get the people who are capable of doing it. Because his purpose was clear, he could bring the capability which was required to serve that purpose. The third thing is product sourcing will be possible when you know the purpose. For instance, if you want to start a restaurant, your purpose is to serve the poor, then you will go and start it in a place where there are a lot of poor people. Then the volume of food which you will have to manufacture which you will have to prepare will have to be very large, and it has to be very economical. So you will go and source it from the origin, not from the shop nearby. Product sourcing becomes very clear. Transactions become very clear when the purpose is clear. And then we come to value proposition. Purpose is directly related to value proposition. People always talk about value proposition. I would like to understand something from you about what you think is value proposition. Yes, gentlemen, can you please tell me? What exactly is the meaning of this term, value proposition?
The value we provide to our customers.
Okay, value that we provide to our customers.
Something unique which you provide to your customer.
Who is it? Please, can you please tell the name?
Rahul Kumar.
Yes, Rahul, tell me.
Yeah, so something unique you are providing to the customers or to the society, which is also called like unique selling proposition as well.
Okay. So you feel value proposition and USP are one and the same, or at least very similar to each other?
Not exactly similar. There is a difference. Value proposition is more of like, as I told, like kind of like which is giving the value to the society as well as customers.
Sir,
whereas selling proposition is more of like the selling technique.
Okay.
It is worth of product cost.
Okay. Are you people hearing my voice clearly? Because your voice is coming breaking to me. Am I clear to everyone?
Yes, yes, Mr. Arun.
I'm clear.
Yes.
Your voices are breaking. I don't know why.
We can hear you.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, value proposition is the perceived value of the product or the service that the manufacturer or a company is going to provide to the customer, to the end user.
Okay, okay.
Now,
all of you are right. Yes?
It's a statement telling you why a customer should do business with you.
Excellent. Excellent. What value are you giving due to which your customer is motivated to do business with you, right? Okay. I think most of you are right in your own way. Let us see value proposition with an example rather than try to explain it in words. Because this is again one of the most important thing.
So your voice is not coming,
is a
sir.
component. Then we have to give a value to the customer, the value proposition. My voice is not coming?
No, sir, it's not coming properly. Not coming properly.
Yeah, I'm also having this problem in hearing you.
Yeah, you please repeat the last sentence.
Yeah, what I'm telling is instead of trying to define value proposition with words, let us take a product and do a value proposition analysis vis-a-vis the other similar products in the market. Don't you think that will be a better way to understand it?
Yes, sir.
The product we will take is Uber. A very, very disruptive product which has uprooted the competition. Shared economy happens to be a part of the platform model, the last model to come into the market in current times. It is the 17th model, business model. We will take Uber and see the value proposition it offers. On the right-hand side axis, you have on the horizontal axis, you have Uber and the various competitors to it in the market. That is a taxi, bus and train, and car rentals. And on the vertical axis, you have the value which offers and what value others are offering. A value proposition is always measured against reference points. The first reference point is pick up and drop. For Uber, it is exact. It picks you up from your house and drops you in the exact address where you want to go. Whereas for a taxi, you have to go in search of a taxi. And you have to go and search for the address where you are to go. Bus and train involves walking to it and then walking on the other side. Rental involves going to the pickup point and then getting into the car. The second point is, reference point is your waiting time. For Uber, it is 3 to 5 minutes and it comes to your house. You don't have to go and wait outside somewhere. But in the case of taxi, you have to search for it and it could take any amount of time. Bus and train, again, walk and wait. Rental, walk and transact. In the case of interaction convenience, Uber is very good. You don't interact with the driver at all. You just, key in your information. The number comes, you go sit in the car, he goes and drops you where you have to go. The amount of money comes, you pay it and go away either directly to the driver or in whichever mode you have decided. Taxi interaction is okay. Sometimes it can be very unpleasant. Driver will not come or, he may bargain with you, but it's okay. Bus and train, no question of any bargaining or anything. It's okay if you are ready to spend your energy and go to the place. Rental also same thing. Rental is all fixed. If you are ready to go and transact, it is okay. But in the case of Uber, it is very good. Transport convenience, again, Uber is very good. You sit at home and you call for an Uber, it comes. Taxi is good. If you are ready to go and search for it, you get a taxi, fine. Transport convenience is very low for bus and train because timings are fixed. You cannot get it whenever you want. And you have to move to the place where it is there. It will not come to you. In the case of rental, it is good. It is not bad at all. Finally, cost. Cost of Uber is relatively low. Taxis are at least 20 to 25% higher than Uber. Buses and trains are extremely low, far, far lower than Uber or any other mode. Rentals is very high. This is the value proposition matrix of one single product. How it compares in terms of value that it offers for the service under question is the value proposition. This will help you understand how to position your product and what to talk about. Let us move on. Any questions, please?
Any questions you have? You can unmute yourself and ask.
Sir,
Okay.
This is Anand.
Yes, Mr. Anand.
Can we also club user experience along with whatever value we're getting as part of the value proposition, the benefits in those terms?
This is the
emotional
experience what you are getting. This is what is experience. Your pickup and drop is an experience. Your
Right.
waiting time is your experience. Your interaction is your experience.
Yes, just wanted
Isn't
to clarify, sir.
Yeah, this is see, value proposition is always each and every one of them is an experience, isn't it? What you are facing is what is given here.
Right, sir. Understood.
Okay, thank you. Let us move on to the next. After value proposition, we come to revenue model. Based upon all the earlier four, what sort of a revenue model you want? It's not necessary that you have to stick to one particular revenue model throughout. Depending upon the situation, circumstances, you can change the revenue model. I'll give you a simple example of something which happened very recently. I don't want to take the name of the company for obvious reasons. A pretty big builder who had lots of flats unsold during this period, he happened to talk to me and he asked me what would I suggest to him. We had a few consultations, we sat down and I found that a lot of his money was blocked, a huge amount. Running into thousands of crores was blocked and the interest payment on it was mounting every day. So I made a suggestion to him. I said that instead of thinking of a markup model, which builders normally do. What is a markup model? You have a certain cost for a particular product. You add a profit margin to it. You add your selling expenditure to it. And you take that money in either immediately or in installments. Easy installments wherein your entire expenditure is covered and the certain amount of margin which you are interested in, you will get. This is the markup model which most builders follow. I suggested to him, instead of this, why don't you do something else? He said, what should I do? I said, you do one thing. You suggest that whoever is interested can take it on rent. Let us say the rent he was building, he was marketing, highly, it was an upscale market product which he was dealing in, costing around 2 crores, 3 crores. I said, okay, you give it to them in rent. Charge them, say, 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees rent for the flat. You tell them, you enter into an agreement with them that for the next 5 years, they can have this as a rental and the money which they are paying you, that 1 lakh per month, will go as payment towards the final price which has been fixed today. So in 5 years, what will happen? 60 lakhs would have been paid. Supposing the price of the flat is 2 crores, to balance 1.4 crores. He said at the end of that 5 years, you can sit down and discuss with them how these 1.4 crores is going to be paid within a short period of time, whatever period of time is accepted at this juncture. That way, at least revenue will start coming. And at the same time, you will not have to worry about finding a customer after the Corona lockdown period. And you will also be rid of all these flats and not knowing what is going to happen post-Corona period when disposable incomes will be very low, loss aversion will be very high, and you really do not know what the market situation will be. I was given to understand by the gentleman that he has started and he has been able to offload quite a lot of flats on this basis. What I'm trying to tell is, you see, revenue model, you can think based upon the time and the situation and ensure that you continue doing your business. Revenue model is a very essential part of the business model. Market opportunity will be governed by all the earlier 5. Oftentimes, we think of the market opportunity, then we work out these. What we fail to understand is market opportunity can be created by working out the earlier 5. And finally, how you are going to reach your product to your customer, the supply chain is very important. Distribution is the backbone of marketing. If your supply chain is not strong, you're not going to be going anywhere. These 7 points constitute the business model. Joan Margareta had hit the nail on the head. Today, this forms the backbone of any strategic planning. Okay, so the business model is ready. We have understood the environment. The business model is ready. What next? Recognize this person. This person is Peter Drucker, the father of modern management. The man who made management famous with the phrase management by objective. He was the first man to use the word objective. If I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere in the period 1959. In 1960, Edwin Locke and P. Latham, two American psychologists who are doing research on performance, they made a statement. They said, task performance is closely linked with appropriate goal setting. Task performance is closely linked with appropriate goal setting. This they said in 1960. It was during this time only that management by objective was told by Peter Drucker. And it was a top-down model. Industry, educational institutions, and management pundits grabbed that concept. It appealed tremendously to everyone, and management by objective became a buzzword. So much so that people could not talk about management without management by objective. In 1981, George T. Doran brought in a massive shift in this objective setting with what I'm sure every individual knows and understands. Watch out, friends. No, before that, sorry. In 1979, Harvard Business School did a survey. They asked the class of 1979 whether they have got any written goals and created any plans. 84% of the people said they had no goals. Students of Harvard Business School, 84% said they had no goals. 13% said they had goals, concrete, but no concrete plan as to how to achieve them. And 3% said they had goals as well as written concrete plans. 10 years later in 1989, they followed up with these people to find out what their state in life was. They found that the 13% who had goals but no concrete plans were earning twice as much as what the 84% were earning. But the surprising thing was the 3% who had both goals and written concrete plans, written goals and concrete plans were earning 10 times what the balance 97% was earning. So it was established that goals are very important. Where goals are concerned, I think very few of us have not heard of this gentleman called George T. Doran. George T. Doran shook up the world, and even today is a byword in goal setting because of his SMART goal setting plan. Specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time related. Who has not heard of SMART? Everyone has. The same way that management by objective took the world by storm, George T. Doran in 1981 took the management world by storm with his SMART goal setting. Time passed. Everyone was talking about SMART. Educational institutions were talking about SMART. Organizations were talking about SMART. Goal setting had got a synonym. The synonym was SMART. But as time passed, the questions started coming from a few corners initially. More and more people started asking, are SMART goals smart? They found that SMART goal setting always led to suboptimal goals. Even though it is even practiced even today, not that SMART goal setting is bad, but only thing is SMART goal setting is extremely difficult to do for two reasons. Number one, the psychology of the individual, which we will see. And number two is its emphasis on bottoms up goal setting. While management by objective was a top-down goal setting, SMART encouraged bottoms-up goal setting. It said if you want to get goals to be optimal and appropriate, it has to come from the bottom. Now just imagine you are standing in the ground floor of a building. How far can you see? 20 feet? And your boss is standing in the 10th floor. How far can he see? 200 feet? Tell me one thing, friends. How can 20 feet of vision translate into 200 feet of expectation? The second biggest problem is what happens when you start off with a bottoms-up goal setting strategy. Let us see. It is a known fact that everyone tells his boss, sorry, there is a mistake, implementer should be an E. Okay. Now, everyone tells his boss, boss, I will do this much, but I will take this target. The target will always be lesser than what he promises to do. That means every individual tries to work within his comfort zone and with a safety net under him. So if a person is planning to do 100 rupees as his target objective, he is going to commit to only 90% of it. What happens then? His boss goes and gives to his boss 90% of that because he has got only 90% from his subordinate. He keeps a margin of safety for himself and a safety net and gives 82% as a commitment to his immediate superior. And that immediate superior goes and gives to the manager who is going to report to the top man a 74%, that is 90% of 82. And the employee, final employee, the topmost boss goes and gives to the managing director 66%. Will it ever work? Because each individual is keeping a cushion of safety and a safety net. And what happens ultimately? Ultimately, goal setting enters into a negative downward spiral. This is what was observed with SMART goal setting. What was the solution? The whole thing was started by two people called Edwin Locke and P. Latham. They had made the observation in 1960 during the course of their research that performance of task is directly related to appropriate goal setting, and this started the avalanche of theories in goal setting. Their research ended in the year 2002 after nearly 35 years, and they came out with the final report of what appropriate goal setting is all about. Let us see what it is. This is Edwin Locke and this is P. Latham. And this was the paper they published, Building a Practically Useful Theory of Goal Setting and Task Motivation, a 35-year odyssey. This became the Bible of goal setting. They published this as a book, which is now being advocated in all major educational institutions and universities. And most companies who are top performers have adopted their 4CF theory of goal setting. What is this 4CF theory of goal setting? We go back to top-down goal setting exercise. First, what is required is clarity. The top man requires absolute clarity in what the corporate should achieve. What is it which is aligned with the purpose with which the company has been started and is being running? And this clarity he has to convey to his immediate subordinate. Clarity in every aspect of the goal which has to be achieved. This is followed by understanding the complexities involved in the goal which has been set. The complexities will have to be segregated into their individual components, and we have to find out ways and means of solving it. No goal is complete without clarity, without the segregation of that objective into its complex constituents, and the challenges which are going to be faced in handling those complexities. Once these three are clear, it has to be communicated to the people who have to achieve it, and a public commitment has to be taken from them. A person who publicly commits to an objective finds greater ownership of that objective and goes the extra mile to achieve it. The objective has to be outside the realm of his comfort zone, substantially outside the realm, and he has to be challenged to achieve it. Only then he will be interested. Anything which is routine is always boring and demotivating. The person might think that I am operating within my comfort zone, so I am happy. No, what happens is he becomes unhappy. Only when you are challenged that you try to achieve something and you are happy. And the final thing which brings all these things together is feedback. Regular and objective feedback ensures that all these four are kept aligned. I'll ask one question from all of you. Among these five, which do you think is the most difficult? Yes, my dear friends, can any one of you answer me?
Clarity.
Okay. Who is it?
This is Hanumesh, Mr. Arun.
Thank you, Mr. Anumesh. Clarity is your answer. Anybody else?
Commitment.
Commitment. Who is that? Suresh. Okay. Anybody else?
Complexity.
Who is it?
Parasha.
Parasji. Complexity. We have got 34 participants. Why is it that nobody is participating? We have got gigantic business leaders here who can contribute a lot with their experience and knowledge. Friends, please, come on.
No, clarity in goal is very important. Clarity in goal is very important. I'm Satish Aditya.
Yes, Mr. Satish.
I'm Nagi Reddy. I think all are important, sir.
Yes. Which of them is the most important?
I think it is
Supposing you have to select one.
I think it is feedback.
Yes.
Who is it?
Feedback.
Same
Mathur Sridhar.
Mathur Sridhar, feedback. Why do you say feedback is important?
Because all other things are within our control. Feedback is something which we get external from our customers. Is very difficult.
Here we are talking about feedback within the organization. We are not talking about feedback from outside.
Okay.
Here we are talking about feedback as a process of goal setting. When a goal is set, clarity in goal setting is very important, because only a clear goal, you see, if I have to shoot at something, I should know what I have to shoot at. The target should be very clear.
Then
the complexity of the target should be very clear. It should be broken down into the various components. And then the challenges which we will be facing to face those components will have to be understood. Because anything which challenges us motivates us to reach out and try to do it. And when we get the person to commit to it by explaining all these things, you see, as you are telling, purpose. Clarity comes out of purpose. When you communicate it to your team member, this is the purpose of why we want to achieve this. And your target is this component of this target. And the purpose of this is what you are going to be contributing to the corporate pool, why it is important, what are the challenges. The commitment automatically comes from him because he knows that he is serving a superordinate purpose. And then periodically you sit with him, see what he is doing, and align him by bringing him back into the route by giving feedback. Now, which of these is the most important?
Commitment, sir.
Commitment, okay. Okay, now I will ask you a different question. What exactly do we mean by feedback and what does it do?
Feedback, sir, gives us an idea in which steps need correction and where the things are going wrong, so that the corrective measures can be taken, and the entire business model can be turned around to accommodate the corrective measures.
I think feedback here is actually the evaluation, the process of evaluation.
Process of evaluation, very right. It is a review process.
I think the clarity of the objective and the audit of the feedback, which will give you the corrective measures for the main objective set.
Okay, now I will ask you one more question. How many of you are aware that you ask any HR what is the most disappointing thing he is facing in his career, it will be the failure of the review process. Review processes oftentimes lead to bad blood between people. Review processes oftentimes lead to confrontation between the boss and the subordinate. Why? Let us see. I think this is very important because I can tell you one thing. Studies have shown that for 4CF to be successful, feedback is extraordinarily important. Feedback does not mean only reviewing what he has done. There is one more aspect to feedback, which is the reason why it will succeed and what the boss has to do to ensure that the feedback is successful. Let us see. How many of you know about the observer effect? Yes, gentlemen. We have seen CCTV cameras in most offices, right? Now, what is the purpose of the CCTV camera and what is the genesis of the idea of a CCTV camera? Can anyone tell me? I'm waiting, gentlemen.
Threat perception that somebody is watching.
What does it do?
Sir, it is to judge from distance what is the set pattern of behavior of a customer with the staff engaged and what actually has been.
Okay. Anyone else?
It could also be for deterrence.
Deterrence for negative behavior?
Yes.
We can see facts.
Yes.
We can see facts.
There is a problem in the audio. I think the
connection
is not strong enough. Okay. How many of you have heard of this term called Haythorn effect?
No.
Okay, let me tell you. Why reviews fail and what can make feedback a roaring success and your entire 4CF into a massive success depends upon your understanding of the Haythorn effect. Believe me, gentlemen, companies which have adopted 4CF and who have understood the principles of Haythorn effect, the observer effect, and the feedback mechanism have raised competition to the ground wherever they are. Let me explain the Haythorn experiment to you. It was in 1924 in the outskirts of Chicago City. Western Electrical Company, there was an experiment. That Western Electrical Company in Haythorn, there was an experiment. There was a test study done. This study was for a period of 8 years from 1924 to 1932. A group of social psychologists wanted to study the impact of amenities on employee performance. What they did was they took this factory, they increased the lighting in that factory for a period of 2 years or something like that. They found productivity went up when the lighting was brighter. The next thing they did was they gave larger period of lunchtime off or tea break for a period of 1 or 2 years. Again, they found that the productivity went up. Lighting, brighter lighting was maintained. better tea break or a coffee break was given. Like this, they kept on improving the amenities. At the end of 8 years, they found that with improving amenities, productivity kept on increasing. Now they wanted to know which amenity was contributing to how much improvement in the productivity. So what did they do? They started withdrawing the amenities and they started watching the employees. A very funny thing happened. They kept on withdrawing the amenities and watching the employees. The productivity kept on increasing. They simply could not explain why this happened. When all the amenities were withdrawn, they thought it will fall down. And they kept on watching them. They found productivity. The productivity did not come down with the withdrawal of the amenities. That is where they realized that an employee, when he is watched, wants to please the management with better work, so he does better job. This is where the secret of review and feedback comes. If you look into your own experience in your organization, in organizations that you know, you will realize that most bosses go to reviewing their subordinates without doing their homework properly. It is only at the last moment they pick up the paper and then they start analyzing the performance of the person. And 90% of the information they want from the person, instead of giving to the person information about what he has done, and this leads to a confrontation. This leads to the subordinate trying to justify what he has done and giving excuses, and the whole review process fails. Feedback is a mechanism where you continue to observe your subordinate, what he is doing, and then sit down with him and realign him. A feedback mechanism should be you giving information to your subordinate as to what he has done and getting his affirmation on it rather than asking him. When this is adopted, the Hayton effect comes into play. Your subordinate knows that I am being observed, I am being watched, and he uses this as an opportunity to please the boss by doing better work. So by feedback, where you are preparing for the feedback session and you are well armed with the informations and up to date on a day-to-day basis as to what your subordinate is doing, you ensure that you are able to guide your subordinate, at the same time giving the message that he is being watched and giving him an opportunity to please you. That, gentlemen, is feedback and Hayton, which our dear friends Edwin Locke and P. Latham were talking about. Any questions? Okay, then let's move on to the next one. Let us see how this top-down 4CF works. We saw why SMART fails. Now let us see how this top-down 4CF will work. The top boss is very clear that the company has to do 100%. So he calls his immediate subordinate, the head of the department, and explains him what is the corporate objective. That person could be from accounts, finance, he could be from sales, he could be from production, he could be from HR. Whatever it is, there will be an objective for the year for that departmental head. The top man, the managing director, is very clear, the business owner is very clear what he wants from him and explains it and gives it to him. That gentleman gives a buffer of 10% to it. He wants a safety net. The way when he gave the target to his boss, he deducted 10% from it. When he gives it to his subordinate, he will add 10% and give it to his subordinate as 110%, and he will break down that objective which has been given. He will segregate the complexities, explain the complexities, and arrive at the challenges which the company is going to face in handling it and give it to his subordinate, who in turn will again use the safety net, this 110%. becomes 121% when it goes to the foot soldiers. Now the foot soldier is in a comfort zone at 100. This 121 is going to push him far out of his comfort zone and challenge him. Now this gentleman will have to be extremely hardworking, extremely vigilant, extremely conscious of the responsibilities which he has got, and he has to step out of his comfort zone and perform. And in doing so, if he achieves even 80 to 90% of his target, the company is still within the range of 97 to 109%. This was the reason for the success of this 4CF. You know, companies like Johnson & Johnson, they have survival targets for all departments where nothing less than 95% is acceptable. And why people still stay for a long time in these companies is because when this 121% goes to the foot soldiers, they are really pushed out of their comfort zone and challenged. They really work very hard. Two things happen. Their bosses are always keeping a track of what is happening. The feedback mechanism is very effective, and they are constantly being appreciated and corrected. And above all, since they are so committed to their work, as they say, an empty mind is a devil's workshop. Here it is a full mind. There is no devil to work in their mind. They perform. And even if they achieve anywhere between 80 to 90%, the company will achieve 97 to 109%. And if in those odd instances of where a person does 100% at that level, the 120% achievement. That is the advantage of 4CF. Please think about it. Now we come to the leaks. Before I go into it, I want to ask you all the difference between two words. The words are responsibility and accountability. Yes, can I know what exactly do you perceive in your organization as responsibility and accountability? Can any one of you tell me, please? Am I having any responses?
Yeah, responsibility is something a person is expected to do something, may execute some task. Whereas accountability is accounted for whatever the reaction or response comes out of that task executed.
Who is speaking, Mr. Vijay Sarathi?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
So responsibility is the individual. It is a more individual based, because as a corporate house has given some definite goals for that person concerned. Accountability is related with the post he is having and the coated behavior of the persons in the team that is leading to his performance. All put together is accountability.
Anybody else? Yeah. Anybody else? What is responsibility and accountability as practiced in your organization? We are all business leaders here. I'm sure each organization is practicing both these concepts. What is responsibility and accountability? Because the next two buckets that we are going to discuss are steeped in this concept of responsibility and accountability. A very clear demarcation of both these have to be understood to be able to use these two buckets. Yes.
A responsibility for me is being the cause in the matter.
Who is speaking?
Nagireddy.
Yes, Mr. Nagireddy. Tell me.
Responsibility per se is, once we take a responsibility, usually people think it as a burden. That is not responsibility, but it has to be something, I'm the cause in the matter. So I'm responsible for conducting a particular task. Whereas accountability is, a responsibility can be shared, but accountability at times, many times, when I'm accountable, the ball rests in my court. I can't kick it in anywhere else.
Beautiful. So how is it applicable in a corporate environment?
Shall I just come in, Rambabu here?
Yes, Mr. Rambabu, please tell me.
Yeah. Accountability and responsibility, they are like twins. They go with one another, but there is a difference.
Yeah.
I think everybody can understand if I just put it this way. In the process of delegation, accountability cannot be delegated downwards, but responsibility can be delegated. Even if responsibility is delegated down below, but still the person who is delegating is accountable. I think that is a little better. Accountability is whom we can just ultimately track down and fix that responsibility on him. Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else?
Responsibility is a subset
Accountability is a review process.
Huh?
Accountability is the review process actually.
Okay.
Responsibility is the execution process.
Okay. Anybody else?
Arun, this Mohan here.
Yes, Mr. Mohan.
Yeah, Arun, I can relate responsibility and accountability by giving an example.
Please do so.
Now, assuming that there is a chemical factory and there is a security or safety department. Now, under the safety department, there could be various activities that need to be performed by various job holders or job responsible people. Now, some of these activities, when they are performed by a person or a number of persons, that is called you are responsible for that particular activity in the safety department.
Okay.
However, the director of the company, which is who is holding responsibility for the entire safety, he is accountable for the organization's safety or the factory's safety. That means accountability is a manifestation of your, what you call as a outcome of the process. Whereas within the process, each and every part of the process will be performed by individual that is called responsible for that process activity.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Mohan. Anybody else?
Responsibility is a shared one. Accountability is something which is very particular and specific to a person.
Who is this?
Mathur Sridhar.
Mathur Sridhar. Responsibility is shared and accountability. I'm asking, you see, all of you are right. But there seems to be...
Can I come in?
Yes. Who is it?
Manoj Rajgopal.
Yes, Mr. Manoj.
Sir, I think responsibility is basically ownership. And accountability is the relation to the task already, the targets already set.
Okay. Now, what we will do is, we will understand responsibility and accountability in a corporate setting in this way. Whichever position one may be holding, whichever position, doesn't matter, that one may be holding, there are some tasks which you have to get others to perform. Your job is to get others to perform some task. For those tasks, you are responsible. But there are some tasks which you cannot delegate, but you will have to do it yourself. For that, you are accountable. Let us understand this in this simple fashion and then look at these two buckets. There are some tasks, like for instance, there is a finance manager in a company, and that finance manager has got 15 people working under him. Those 15 have some jobs. The finance manager is responsible to ensure those 15 people do their job.
Sir, voice is not coming, sir. Voice is not coming, sir. It's distorting, sir. Please repeat, sir, from the beginning.
You see, there are some jobs which people under you are expected to do. For instance, supposing, let us say you're a finance manager or a production manager and you've got 15 people working under you. These 15 people have to do some jobs. You are responsible to ensure as their boss that they do their job correctly. That is what you are responsible for. But there are some jobs which you have to do yourself that you are accountable for. The segregation of jobs which you have to get done through others makes you responsible for those jobs. And those jobs which you can't assign to others, but you will have to do yourself, you have to become accountable. The problem is 90% of senior managers think their job is only being responsible for others' job. That is where problem in the senior most hierarchy in companies come. And that is why it is very difficult to understand who is contributing to the organization, who is a cost center, who is a profit center. The next two buckets are going to focus totally on this. And you will be able to take the utmost benefit of these two buckets by making these two buckets the accountability of your senior managers. That means issues addressed in these two buckets amounting to 12 elements of the ecosystem are accountabilities of your senior managers. They are responsible for all the jobs that their subordinates are doing, but they will have to be held responsible for these 12 elements of the ecosystem. If that is done, I'm telling you, you will be able to reap very rich dividends. Very, very rich dividends. Let us see now the first one. Every business activity needs resources and every resource has a cost. This is the first principle of business. Every business activity needs resources and every resource has a cost. Wasting by poor utilization of resources is a form of loss for the company. When resource utilization is not optimal, the company makes a loss. Just imagine, we say that the industry is growing at 12%. That means if we do nothing, our sales and revenue should grow by 12%. Correspondingly, our profit should increase, but that never happens. Why? The answer lies in this. Economic value of waste in industry is 10 to 15% of annual turnover. And waste does not necessarily mean material waste alone. Now, how do we stop this? This bucket is all about wastage. Chanakya in 370 BC in Arthaniti spoke of the concept of internal audit. In 1528, Birbal was given the role of informing Akbar of an independent view on the various complex issues of governance. That is why he was a very, very feared person in the court of Akbar, because he used to keep looking at all the activities which was going on and inform Akbar about it. In and around 1940, the inspection mode was brought in, which focused on recount and reperformance issues. And this forms today the essential part of our ecosystem as work in progress. What is that? The controlling of wastage. In 5 areas, major wastage has been observed. Number 1, finance. The finance manager should be made accountable to ensure that all metrics of liquidity, solvency, and profitability are kept a close watch of and informed to the top management about the strategies that he is taking to ensure that these metrics are kept under control. Yes, he is responsible to ensure that the entire department works properly, but he should do a benchmarking of the industry norms, the best practices on financial matters, see how the company is performing, and create a strategy by which he can ensure that he brings the company up to the top. You know, there is a saying that most people are busy doing business while they are going out of business. That is because of the wastages which occur in all these 5 departments. And one of the major departments is the finance department. The role of finance is not just to manage the money, but also to ensure that it is used optimally and profit is generated out of it. From a cost center, it has to turn into a profit center. And that profit center, it can turn into only when the ratios are correctly observed and managed by the finance head. He should be made accountable and he should report to the managing director on this aspect of finance. The second is quality concerns. Quality concerns are serious issues. We are existing as a company only because of our customer, and the customer is going to be interacting with us only because of the quality which we provide to him in terms of product and services. And the head of quality has to be extremely aware of what the industry best practices and benchmarks are and how the company is performing against it. And he should be giving regular reports on this. This is one area of the ecosystem, again, which is given the skip. Demand comes in suddenly, and the first victim of the demand is quality. That should not happen. Maintenance is always a victim of demand, and we do maintenance work only when the demand is less, and that affects quality. The third is production inefficiencies. We always blame the labor for the production. If our production is 94% and the industry benchmark is 98%, the works manager or the production manager should be held accountable to find out why this 4% deficit is there and what steps he is going to take and what is the time frame and the milestones he is going to observe to ensure that the production is brought up to 98%. Yes, he will be responsible for the working down the line, but he has to be accountable to ensure that the industry standards and the best practices in these areas are maintained by him. He is accountable for it. He just cannot be showing his finger at somebody else. If he does, he has to justify it with what he has done about it. Marketing and sales is again a big loss. Marketing and sales do not coordinate, they are not aligned. Projections do not come in time. Marketing collaterals do not go out in time. Marketing collaterals are not in alignment with the purpose of the organization. They do not convey the correct message to the customer. These are all wastages. The marketing head has to become accountable for it. He has to benchmark it against the industry standards and see and report to the top man how he is going to bridge it, what is the time frame. Here he cannot pass the buck down. And finally, HR. The first thing that HR should do is create a job description for everybody, because without having a job description, we will never be able to evaluate the importance of an individual to the company, whether he's a cost center or a profit center. Everyone should be held responsible for their job, and to ensure that the benchmarking is done and the steps are taken to bridge the gap, the HR head should be held accountable. In a company where all these people are not there, these top people are not there, in small organizations which are run by individuals, they can do these, put these principles into practice to the extent that they can, so that as they grow, the organization will grow along with it. I'll tell you a simple small thing which all of you know, but at the cost, at the risk of boring you, I will tell you this small anecdote. We all know, that we have seen elephants in temples with a rope tied around its leg, and the rope is dropped on the floor. It is not tied to anything. But the elephant is standing in one place because it thinks it is tied. We all know the story that when it was a small baby elephant, it was tied to a tree and it tried to break away. It couldn't. And then it was, imprinted into its mind that it cannot break away. It is tied, and so it stands. The converse of this is that when a small company practices these things, these practices get ingrained into that company's philosophy, and as it grows, these practices will grow along with it, and the company will flower into a beautiful corporate, a highly productive corporate, which will be very easy and very satisfactory to manage. One of the biggest reasons why corporate heads find managing the corporate a very frustrating affair, performance a very frustrating affair, is because in spite of knowing all these things, we don't implement them. Let us not do that. I'm sure most of you are already implementing it. If some of you are not, think about it and try to implement it so that you can bring order and performance to and bring about a good growth in your organization. Make your departmental heads accountable to plug all these leaks. Because as I said in the beginning, a boat does not sink because of the water which is outside. A boat sinks because of the water which has got into it. Let us bail the water out and plug the hole, stop the leak in all these 5 areas. Any questions, gentlemen? Yes, GP, any hands are raising? Okay. Then we will move on to the next. We have seen wastages here. Now let us see what Leah Walters tells us. Leah Walters is a management expert and a positive psychology expert, a leading expert on positive psychology. And she has come up with the concept of strength switch. She says an organization can grow. Yes, Mr. Suresh Kapti has raised his hand. Yes, Mr. Suresh?
What's the reason for these leaks?
The reason for these leaks is very obvious, Mr. Suresh. Negligence of individuals and lack of understanding of the business process. You see, supposing a company is doing a production, has a production capacity and it is doing 98% production, and another company is doing 96%, what could be the reason? You could say that the people working in the other company are more efficient than the people working here. That is possible, isn't it? Tell me, Mr. Suresh.
Yes, the negligence comes from the people.
Who has brought those people in? Who is accountable for running the company properly or the department properly?
Functional heads.
That is why what I'm telling, plug it. That's precisely what I'm telling. If a mistake has happened, it does not necessarily mean we should continue with it once we know it has happened. To err is human. But to continue with it, what will you call it? To err is human. I absolutely agree with you. Any person can make a mistake. But having known that the mistake has happened, if you don't correct it, what do I say?
Stupidity.
No, I will not say that. You said it. What I'm saying is, you see, now that you know that this element of the ecosystem is there, now watch it. In your company, ask your departmental heads to sit down, check the various ratios, benchmark it with the best in the industry, and shoot for it. If not today, in 6 months' time, you will be able to reach it. And you will be that much out of the game. And you see, as I always tell you, you're walking on a dark street, there is a big hole in the middle of the street. You don't know it is there. The likelihood of your falling in it are very high. But if someone shoves the torch at it and shows you that the hole is there, the likelihood of your falling into it will reduce. Now the torch has been shown. Now it is up to you to ensure that you take the remedial measures and see to it that your organization and you benefit. Remember one thing, when your organization benefits, not only you, hundreds of families which are dependent on your organization, they also grow. You contribute to the well-being of the society. So it is absolutely essential as business leaders that we understand these leaks and we plug them. We try our best. I am not saying you will be able to plug 100%, but yes, you will be able to reduce it, and every penny saved is a penny earned. Let's do it. Now we will come to the strength switch. Leah Walters says that we should operate through the strength switch. What are the strengths that your company has and how you can strengthen it further? There are 7 areas which have been identified as strengths for an organization. Whatever the current situation is, from that you can build it. Let us see them one by one. Here you need to again do the benchmarking with the best in the industry. See the best practices and assess where you are, and again assign accountability to your head of that department to see what he can do to bring it up. You see, the head of the department is the highest paid person in the department. Why? Can anyone tell me why the head of the department is by far the highest paid person in the department? Am I getting any answers?
Because of responsibility and accountability he holds. That is the reason.
Yes, Mr. Rambabu. Anyone else?
It's a rare phenomenon to have people with the trait of accountability. So obviously they come with a premium, sir.
The person who is holding the position of the head of the department is holding it by virtue of his understanding of the processes of the department and experience and knowledge. He should have the most important job as his personal work. And the most important job is to plug the leaks and operate the strength switch. It is too important a job to be delegated to someone else. Yes, in the process of doing it, he might assign some portion of it to somebody to do, but overall, he is the person who has to keep an eagle eye on all the leaks and take steps to plug them and benchmark and the best practices in the 7 areas that we are going to discuss now, and try and ensure that they are strengthened further. The first of them is employee attitude. The company is there because of the customer, and the company operates because of your employee. Without an employee, the company can do nothing. And the attitude of the employee towards achieving the superordinate goal, which is the objective of the company, is very, very important. You need to benchmark. Supposing you are in automobile industry, benchmark the attitude of employees of the best automobile manufacturing companies in the country, and then do an analysis as to what your employee attitude is, what is the gap, and what needs to be done so that the employee's attitude can be corrected. Invariably, the first thing that should be done is create a job description. Try to ensure that the job description is as specific as possible with no ambiguity in it. Second, restrict him only to the job description. Don't try to get work out of him outside the job description. People don't like it. Third thing is give him regular positive feedback. Identify the negative things which are happening, explain the consequences of those negative things, and see to it that the feed forward is blocked and it is not repeated. See, there are all these things when the person does a benchmarking and tries to correct it by taking personal accountability. your employee attitude will automatically start improving. Complaining about an employee attitude is no use. That is a saying in Sanskrit, Yatha Raja, Tatha Praja. If we are professional, our employees will be professional. Somewhere we have not done the benchmarking, we have not studied the best practices. That is why our employees are like this. But still, they are our strength. And we have to strengthen them further. The second thing is customer service. We exist because of our customer, and our customer is continuing to be with us because he is satisfied with us. And it is our job to go through the customer feedback, look for dissatisfaction elements or elements which do not point towards excellence, and try to serve him. In our life, our motto should always be, if I have taken 1 rupee from you, I should give you 1 rupee 25 paisa worth of service. I should not be satisfied with giving just 1 rupee worth of service. You are my customer. Serving you is the only purpose of my being here. Unless we have that attitude, unless we do a benchmarking of our most able competitors and try to reach their level, we will not be able to strengthen our customer service. Even the slightest of dissatisfaction should ring alarm bells in our mind. The third thing is market share. You have planned a market share in your objective. How far are you lagging in it? When other companies, good companies, when they plan a market share for the current year, how they are approaching it and what they are achieving in it, this benchmarking is very essential. Then strengthen this. The objective of, here I would like to tell you one thing, Top League was started only about 4 or 5 months back in March. But when we started the board of directors, we decided that from day one, we will have GST. Even though we were allowed a certain amount of leeway till we reach a certain turnover, we don't have to have GST. We said, no, whatever is due to the country from us, from the first penny we earned, we are going to do it. We decided that everything will be above board and only in white. Everything will be contractual in nature in return. You see, when a company has high integrity, over a period of time, it will be really respected. 2 companies in India which are great examples of it are Wipro and Tata's. They are companies of unquestionable integrity. And they are respected for it. Do a benchmarking. See what are the processes. What is the ethics policy of the company? The person who is responsible for it. It could be the chartered, the company secretary. It could be the managing director. It could be director of operations. Whoever is responsible for it, he should sit down and make a list of the ethics policy and see how well it is being practiced. Then product innovation. Product innovation is a very, very important thing. Development and improvement of the product, coming out with new products. These are all very essential parts to ensure that you keep disruption and problems away. Efficient and low cost of manufacturing. This is very essential to build your competitiveness. This is one area where we should never accept any excuse at all. The production head has to be held accountable to ensure that the benchmarking is targeted and reached. If you are not going to be as efficient and produce at a lower cost than your competitor, then you are already losing the fight in the marketplace. And finally, relationship with customer. In many industries, we see that a senior man leaves and he takes away most of the customers of the company. This is mainly because the people at the helm of affairs, they don't get into a relationship with people. To understand how important relationship is, I would like to ask you to name 3 top-notch institutions, non-governmental institutions, which have been built to emphasize on this. Can anyone name 3 of them? Can anyone name 3 institutions operating on this principle of relationship? Yes, my dear friends, do I have a response? Okay, let me tell you. BNI is one such institution. Business Network International, which emphasizes on building business through relationship. Rotary is another institution which believes on building business through institutions, through relationship. Lions Club is another. All these have been built only to build companies based upon relationship. Relationship is so very important that every individual should know his customer well. Every top man should know his customer well. Take some time out and at least interact with your customers. That will help you in a very, very big way. People love doing business with those they like, whom they know. The policy is always known devil is always better than the unknown angel. Now that we have seen these 2 buckets and decided the concept of accountability and responsibility for our top people and created the checklist for it, don't you think we should know where we are going? That is where comes in the concept of management information system and feedback. Most companies have this. The question is not whether most companies have this or not. In many companies where I have had the opportunity of interacting from outside, many people have approached me for suggestions and helps, and I have been associated with them. I find management information systems and feedbacks are rarely used. People rarely see it. They generate tons and tons of reports, but God knows who sees them. Please generate feedback formats only for your key performance indices. And how do we go about it? Number 1, establish minimum acceptable standards and measurement tools and processes for those key performance indices which you are going to be observing. That is very, very important. It's very important to observe. Create first minimum acceptable standards. You will not accept anything below that. This has to be decided. And then the measurement tools have to be put into place. Then what do? You collect the negative feedbacks and ensure how you can prevent it from happening again in the future. We take feedbacks, both internal and external. And more often than not, lot of time is spent by people on why it is not a fault. Supposing, I have a Kentaro in my house, some problem happens, I telephone to the customer service and talk to them. They will ask me 10 questions and then, come up with lots of excuses as to why it is not the fault of the company this is happening. They will ultimately say, we will send the technician, but they will give n number of excuses. What does it tell you about the makeup of that company's mindset? They are not willing to accept that something can go wrong. When you are not willing to accept that something can go wrong, you will not be able to prevent it from happening again in the future. If the same thing is going to happen again and again in the future, then what is the use of this feedback? More than just an administrative process? When we get a feedback, we should ensure that it is not occurring again in the future. So you have to ensure that the feed forward is taken up. That means action should be put in place so that it is not repeated. In the same way, when there is a positive feedback, what step are you going to take that the same thing is replicated by your other employees and other processes, and it happens again in the future? Someone does 110%. Is it not necessary for us to review how that has been done, try whether others can also do the same thing and achieve the same result, and finally, how it can be replicated into the future? This is very, very important. And the most important of all is, at what frequency are we going to visit these monitoring systems? How often are we going to visit these monitoring systems so that there is no ennui associated with it? We don't do it as a religion, but do it because we want performance. More often than not, these feedback mechanisms are put into place as a matter of administrative routine. Establishing a monitoring frequency and time frame will ensure that it just doesn't remain a routine, but becomes a meaningful activity. This is disruption. Disruption is a way of life. Nothing can be done about it. World War II was a massive disruption which nearly destroyed Europe, but it stood up. The fat boy being dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima was a disruption of Japan, but it stood up. The partition and the migration of people from Pakistan to India and India to Pakistan was a massive disruption. But again, people rebuilt their respective nations. The migration of Kashmiri Pandits from Kashmir to other parts of India was a massive disruption for them, but they also stood up. Disruptions will happen. We can try to make our organization disruption proof, and this bucket is all about that. And the biggest example of how disruption can creep in on you is Kodak. Their philosophy was what next starts now. And it's a fact. They were the first people to come out with digital camera, and that digital technology is what destroyed them. They became non-existent because of that digital technology. Even after having it in their hand much before others, they could not capitalize on it. That is the power of disruption, because we tend to ignore it. While it's happening all around us, we ignore it till it comes and really crushes us. The first is technological disruption. We see technological upgradation all around us. We see new technology coming into our industry. We keep postponing that we will do something about it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. It becomes a massive disruption. Disruptive innovation. We see products, innovative products coming into the market. We keep thinking we will also do something about it. But by the time we wake up and start doing something, we are already destroyed. Kodak is one massive example. Workforce is another big disruption. There is a big problem with workforce. People leave for so many reasons. We keep trying to give an excuse as to why nothing can be done with this. While there are so many things that can be done, we will see those mitigating things. Environment, nature is a big disruption. Corona is one very good example of it. It is an attack from nature. It has shut us down in our rooms for the last 3 months. Upgrading technology on a regular basis. Keep upgrading your organization. Keep a very close watch on what's happening, and don't postpone it for tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Make it your priority. Procrastination happens only because of something not being our priority. Anything which is our priority, we will attend to it immediately. But anything which we think is not our priority, we will always postpone it to tomorrow. You know, in Ramayana, there is a small story that when Rama had shot Ravana and Ravana had fallen down and he was going to die, Rama called Lakshman and told him, go to that gentleman and take his advice on governance. He is a great Vedavid, that means he's a Pandit in Vedas. He's a genius in music. He's a genius in governance. He's a genius in everything. Please go and learn from him. Lakshmana goes to Ravana. Lakshman goes to Ravana and asks him that my brother, elder brother, has sent me to you to learn something. Please give me your Upadesham. So Ravana says in his last dying breath, whatever you think is good, do it today. Don't postpone it to tomorrow. But whatever you think is bad, postpone it to tomorrow. That way you will never do it. That is what postponement means, never doing it. Friends, when technology upgradation is taking place all around you, don't postpone it to tomorrow. Upgrade your organization immediately. It will prevent the disruptive power of technology to bring your company down. Invest in R&D. Some portion of your capital, however small you are, some portion of the working capital, invest for development of your product, your process, your people. Invest in R&D. It could be possibly the best investment you can make. To get out of the clutch of the disruption of workforce, use contingent work talent pool. Lot of outsourcing is possible today. Lots of talent is available outside. Very, very good people are available. With the extended lifespan, there are a lot of retired people with extensive knowledge and experience available whom you can tap for knowledge. You can reduce the expenditure on your people. At the same time, get the amount of talent that you want. You can reduce the dependence on the workforce. And finally, create a contingent fund. Stash away a certain amount of money from the monthly income for periods like this. It might never come for the next 100 years, but then you don't know, it might come after 6 months also. So better start today because tomorrow is uncertain. Start creating a contingent fund. Many people who have reserves are not facing much of a problem. They can tide over this crisis and recover. But if you don't have reserve, you are at the mercy of circumstances. Challenge your assumptions. The best way of opposing disruptive forces is to challenge your assumption. The assumption that I am technologically very well set in my company, it's an assumption you should challenge. Challenge your assumption that no disruptive innovation is required in my field of work. Challenge it. Challenge that I have got the best workforce, I have got I don't require to do anything about it. When you challenge your assumptions, you will start thinking differently. You will start thinking inversely. And you will be able to come out of it. Supposed to be the father of competitive management. He is regarded as the biggest brains of this time. He has written 19 books on competitiveness and he has redefined business totally. Now, I am in the midst of many business leaders. So let me ask them, friends, how do you define business? What is business? Please tell me what, according to you, is business? Am I getting any responses?
Anumesh is unmuted.
Huh?
Anumesh is unmuted.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, what is business is basically providing a solution for an existing problem is, I think, by offering your service or your product is what the business is.
Okay. Anyone else?
Business is just making profits.
Business is sales.
Huh? Who is it?
Business is a sales.
Who is
Giri, sir.
speaking?
I said business is making profits.
Yes, Mr. Giri, tell me.
Business is a sales.
Okay. Anybody
Hello,
else?
Arun uncle, this is Nikhil.
Yes, Nikhil, tell me. What is business?
Business is simply a two-way process where I'm giving, selling any type of product or giving any type of service by which for that service and for that product we are taking some money or some profit from the other.
Okay.
Sir, this is Vijay Amarnath here. Business is.
Yes, tell me, Mr. Vijay.
Business is making profits.
Okay.
Sir, this is Subrato.
Yes, Mr. Subrato.
Yeah, so business is just to find a solution to the problem that the society at large is facing and make way for earning for self and at the same time for the society also, and give back to the society after your goal fulfillment.
Okay. Anybody else? We have got a lot of business leaders here. Can I have an answer from them, please?
Business is anything, any process which involves giving something, whatever, fulfilling the wants of the others at some value or the exchange of the transaction between these two parties. The whole process is business.
Okay. Now, let me tell you, you see, our friend Michael Porter is very famous for a book of his called Wealth of the Nations. What he is broadly telling about competitiveness is business is nothing but fight for economic space. Let us assume that Chennai is an economic space. You know, Chennai is an economic space. Let us take that as an example. And this economic space holds 1,000 crore rupees. Every business is fighting with each other for a share of it. Is it not a fight for economic space? When you look at business from that angle, for instance, let us say automobile industry in Chennai. Automobile industry in Chennai is 100 crores. Every company involved in automobile industry is fighting with each other for a portion of that 100 crores. So business is nothing but fight for economic space. When you look at it in this angle, competitiveness takes an entirely different view. This is the most essential part of competitiveness, and Michael Porter is regarded as the father of competitive management only because of his being able to articulate this highly complex situation in such a simple manner. Let us understand how he did it. There are 5 different elements to competitiveness. The first is competition with existing competitors. Supposing you are manufacturing automobile parts. All automobile part manufacturers are your competitors. Friends, can you think of any other competitor for this person?
The other mode of transportations can also be a competitor for this, or the other way of looking at, the replacement of automotive. In the sense, I'm not able to tell it exactly for automotive, but I can pick some other product.
You tell me for any industry.
Yeah, okay. For example,
so how many see, there are 5 points according to Michael Porter. How many can you think of?
See, one competition is like I have, if I'm selling oil, for instance, the other oil seller is my competitor. The person who is selling the different oil is also my competitor. The person who is selling microwave oven is also my competitor, because I
hear you properly.
Yeah. because the person who is selling microwave oven, he is pulling customers who will use oil. So he is also my competitor. Likewise, for all products, I mean the product other than ours is also can be the competitive product.
So let us look at it this way. Competition with existing competitors is one part of competition. Bargaining power of customer is another type of competition. You are selling something at 100 rupees, your customer is going to bargain with you to sell it for 97 rupees and you are forced to sell it for 97. Your fight for economic space has reduced by 3 rupees. You are only getting 97 now. So your customer is also influencing the fight for economic space. Third, bargaining power of supplier is another part of the competition. Your supplier says, sir, raw material price has gone up. Today, I cannot supply you the same product which I was supplying you at 20 rupees. I will have to supply you at 21 rupees. Now you are purchasing at 21 rupees and selling at 100. That means your margin has come down by 1 rupee. Again, the fight for economic space has reduced your space by 1 rupee. So bargaining power of supplier is another part of the competition. Threat of new entrants is another area of competition which you will have to think about. That is why there are something called entry barriers. There are things called exit barriers. Entry barriers are not much in pharma industry. Exit barriers are huge in pharma industry. So you see, all these things affect competition. Because exit barriers are high, the crowding keeps on increasing. You can't leave the industry once you have entered it and go out fast. So the crowd keeps on increasing. Competition keeps on increasing. Dirty competition starts taking place. Undercutting starts taking place. Why? Because exit barriers are high. Then finally, you have got threat of substitutes. Products which are not like you, but serve the same purpose which your product serves. They are also fighting for the same economic space and they are part of the competition. Let us understand this from a case study. Let us see how this works. Again, we will take up the example of Uber. Who is the buyer for Uber? We are the buyers. Those people who use the services of Uber are the buyers. The bargaining capacity of a buyer, nil. You can't bargain. Switching medium. Yes, you can switch from Uber to Ola. That is medium. You don't have too many options. If you want to avail the benefits of a shared economy, then you don't have too many options in it. Only Ola is there. Then, value proposition very high. We have seen when we saw the value proposition chart of Uber, we have seen the level of value proposition very, very high as compared to taxi or as compared to bus, train, or compared to rentals. It is very, very high. Information very high. Since you have the app on your phone, every time you book an Uber, the information goes to him and he can collect all those informations. And through data analytics, he can understand everything about you. Very high. Distribution cost, nil. There is no distribution cost. This is the power of the buyer when you check. What is the power of the seller? Who is the seller here to Uber? The seller is the driver. Driver is the only person he takes the help of. Bargaining power very weak. Because here the seller can earn proportionate to the amount of work he puts. The capacity to switch very low because unless he is going to be sticking to Uber, he can't earn. Well, half a day he can't work for Uber and then half a day he can't work for Ola. He will not earn in both because it is incumbent upon Uber to give the client to him, the customer to him. So if he's not going to stick with him, he will not get customers. Value proposition very compelling because he has got independence. He is his own owner. He can work the day he wants. He can not work the day he wants. And the information again is very high. He knows all the details regarding the working and the functionality of the app and the rides. An entry barrier nil. Any driver with a license and knowing how to drive and who has passed class 8 or 9 can become a Uber driver. How convenient it is. New entrants. Entry barrier very high. Uber app can be used anywhere in India and abroad. A new entrant who comes into the market will have to provide for that sort of a facility all over the world and in the country. Economies of scale difficult. He cannot scale up the operation immediately after joining because there will be a huge amount of investment required. Value proposition very low because everything has already been given by Uber and their type of companies. Any new entrant, what is it extra that he can provide which can beat these people after investing so much? Information, he does not have any information with him because there is no experience as a shared economy driver company. And above all, investment is very, very high, which is very discouraging. Substitutes. Substitutes, the best substitute for Uber is your ride sharing. Yes, that is very high. Now it is on the up. Self-driving is another substitute. It is very stressful in this highly congested area. Public transport, very inconvenient, very irregular, very poor. Information about the substitutes in the market which can be got is very weak. And it is above all not organized at all. Then competitors, very fierce competition between Ola and Uber. Secondly, there are a few locally focused players in various towns. In that local area, maybe in Trichy, you might have something like Fast Track, or in another place you must have Lyft or some such, locally focused people are there. What is the value proposition they are offering? They are copying whatever value proposition is being offered by Uber. That is what they are copying and giving. So nothing extra is being given. Information, locally they are having information about their area. That is a medium information, but nothing to compete with Uber. And above all, the distribution pattern is varying. Even Ola is not present in most places. This is the 5-force analysis as per what Michael Porter had suggested. You will find that the bargaining power of suppliers, the bargaining power of buyers, the threat of substitutes, the threat of new entrants, all these come and fall on the industry rivalry of equal competition. If we can understand and try to offset each one of them, you will be able to make your organization competitor proof. Gentlemen, we have seen 8 buckets. We have seen the pestle environment. We have seen the business model and its 7 points. We have seen goal setting 4CF. We have seen that we need to implement the concept of accountability and responsibility by segregation and address the problems of leakages. Operate the strength switches by again benchmarking and understanding the best practices of the industry. We have seen that we will have to address the disruptive forces. We have to take care of the competition. Any questions? I'm ready to take it. Thank you for being so patient and listening to me.
Hello, Arunukal. This is Nikhil.
Yes, Nikhil.
Hello.
Yes, tell me, Nikhil.
In benchmarking and the best practices, you gave the example of Rotary and Lions Club.
I did not give the example of Rotary
In
and Lions
relationship with
Club.
customer.
Yes, in relationship, with regards to relationship, not just customer, relationship. You see, what does BNI International do? They have formed an organization.
But they are not involved in any type of business.
No, they are not involved. Each businessman is there. All the people who are there are businessmen.
Yes, I know. These are
all of them are businessmen and they help each other. Why do they help each other? Because they know each other, like each other, interact with each other. They give each other business.
Oh, this is one type of platform where they.
Yes, that is also what I was trying to emphasize by Rotary, Lions Club, and BNI is all these organizations have been created with the purpose of improving businesses of its members.
Oh.
How do? They do so by helping each other. I am a businessman, Nikhil. You are also a businessman. We both are friends.
Yes.
I help you, you help me. You give me your contacts, I give you my contacts. And we both prosper. See, each individual has a universe of catchment area behind him. If I allow you to tap into my catchment area and you allow me to tap into your catchment area, both of us have two catchment areas to tap into. Where I had only one earlier, by befriending you, I have two now.
Okay.
And you see, the same way a customer whom he knows you very well, he will think twice before leaving you and going to another person for a small benefit. He will think, no, Nikhil is a good friend of mine. वो क्या सोचेगा? नहीं, मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, मैं इसी के साथ रहूंगा. अरे चाहिए होगा हम आपसे ही मांग लेंगे, लेकिन दूसरे के पास नहीं जाएंगे.
Yes.
So you see, what happens is you retain your customer. Please understand one thing: it costs 7 times the value of how much you spend to retain a customer. If to retain a customer you are spending 1 rupee, you'll have to spend 7 rupees to get a new customer.
Yes.
That is how costly it is. So it is sensible and practical to try and retain your customer.
Okay.
Sir, this is Subroto. Sir, Subroto.
Yes, Subroto, tell me.
Sir, by befriending with this business people attending and being the members of BNI, Rotary and Lions Club, don't you feel, sir, that I'm inviting competition for my own product also? That might be a possibility also.
No, why? Just because both of us are doing the same type of business, does not mean that we should not be able to help each other. Let us take the example. There is a market here in Chennai called Moor Market.
Yes.
You go to any shop and ask for anything, he will never say he does not have it. If he does not have it, he will tell you, please wait here 1 minute. He will run to another shop, take that, come and give it to you. They will not lose a customer and they help each other. And that way everyone does business.
Okay, sir, but is it really happens in
your whichever
like
industry you are, you will not have everything related to that industry. You might be having a few products. You might be giving a few services.
Yeah.
Even in knowledge sharing, a person cannot be knowledgeable about everything.
That's true.
So it is always helpful in collaborating and, in customer service, when I said relationship with your customer, supposing you are the top man, or let us say you are the head of a sales unit, sales team. It is always, like you take Juventus for example. Probably they knows at least 2,000 doctors across the country.
Yes, that's true.
That is the reason why he has been such a big success, why he is sought after, marketing head. You take Tarun Gupta of Glaxo. How many people he knows? How many doctors he knows?
Yes.
You take G.K. Ramamurthy of Crosslands. See, there are great examples of people who are very close to their customers and they were at the topmost level in the industry.
Mr. Saurabh, sir, if with your permission, I can just give an example. I'm Sriraj Shetty here from BNI, Hyderabad.
Yes, tell me, Mr. Sridhar.
Sriraj here, Sriraj Shetty.
Sriraj, tell me, Mr. Sridhar.
So Saurabh, BNI is what goes around comes around. Actually, we are a group of business people in different chapters, different chapters. And each chapter will have no competition within us. Suppose there is an interior designer within us. So he is a lead giver for us because all the other categories, somebody may be into tiles, somebody may be into paint, somebody may be into carpet, somebody into maybe AC or glass fittings and all. Now, with one lead inside, one interior designer or an architect can help all of us into business. So, or I know somebody who wants an architect. If I give a lead to that architect, then automatically all the other business people get business. So it is something where there is no competition within us because same category might be in some other chapter. I understand. I can A is Artha, B is capital, C is like that. It goes. B is business, C is capital, D is diamond. So different chapters. So one category of people will not attend the same chapter. It is like this. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
You definitely then agree with me. The relationship is very important.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Sir,
Shira,
thank
for
you,
your
sir.
feedback.
I am Giri calling from Kanchipuram, sir. Kanchi Aquapure RO system. I am also BNI member, sir. Hello.
Yeah, it's audible. Tell me.
Sir, in this Corona period itself, we have done so many business through BNI. As you told about the relationship, we have strong relationships, sir.
Yeah.
In this pandemic period also, we got business. We got last month, we had very good sales, sir.
Very nice to hear that.
Through BNI and we are ensuring the service, sir. After sales, we are ensuring the 4 services. We are doing water purifier business. We will commit for 4 services. We are maintaining the customers also referring, sir. We are getting 80% from existing customer and BNI, as you told. I have been associated with the Lions Club, Builders Association of India, Kanchipuram Chamber of. These are all the things we are continuously maintaining the relationship, sir.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Arun
yes,
Mohan,
Mr. Mohan.
Arun Mohan here.
Yes.
I believe Subrata's question was more specific about how a relationship organization like BNI can overcome a potential challenges in the form of competition. Now, let me give very specific examples to Subrata. Now, in BNI, I can give you an example where somebody who is a chapter member in Rajasthan on a granite, and there is a member in Chennai who is also dealing with granite. Now, you can see that there could be a competition.
Yes.
However, what has happened recently is the person in Chennai has bagged an order in Udaipur. Now, unfortunately, for COVID reasons, he is not able to ship it and make the margins that he could. So what he has done is he has reached out to the BNI member in Rajasthan, Jaipur, and together collaboratively worked it out in the COVID times, where the Jaipur member has shipped the equivalent granite stones to the customer. And the billing was from Chennai, and the margins were shared between these two, right?
Great,
so
great.
The relationship happens through collaboration, and through competition could be there, but at times the collaboration comes up.
See, what I am trying to tell is relationship is extraordinarily important with your customer.
Yeah.
You see, this BNI success or Rotary success or Lions Club success is only because relationship builds bonds. And when you build a bond with your customer, he will not leave you and go. That is one thing which many corporates, they ignore. We have time to socialize. We have time. You know, a corporate head I have seen spending time, money, effort trying to get a position in Rotary, but not willing to spend 10 minutes with his customer. This is the level of understanding people have somewhere in some places regarding their customers, the importance of their customers. And then when the customer goes away, then you blame somebody else. You have time to spend money for an official position in Rotary, but you don't have time to spend 10 minutes with your customer and build your relationship with him. What is there in this? So you see, this strength switch, you see, your customer is your strength. Enhance that strength. You have been able to get a person to become your customer. He has put his trust on you. He has put his liking on you. He has put his faith on you. Invest on him. Know him personally. That is very important. And you see, some people might come back and say, you know, I have got 200 customers. Can I know? Yes, you will have to know all of them. 200 customers, your company has become big, not because of you, but because of those 200 customers. Tomorrow, if those 200 customers leave you and go, what will happen? I don't mean you. When I say you, I'm not meaning you as an individual. I'm meaning every business owner. What will happen if those 200 customers leave us and go away? If we have to invest on someone, we should invest on them. That is our strength. And I was giving the example of BNI or Rotary or Lions Club only to tell you the relationship is capable of building such gigantic organizations. All built on the principles of relationship. Yes, any other questions, please? I'd like to get some feedback about what you feel about the program.
Sir, I am Giri, sir. Really,
Yes, Mr. Giri.
I have enjoyed, sir. This is the first time I have enjoyed that.
Hello, Mr. Giri. I'm unable to hear you. I think there is a lot of problem in the net. Hello? I think the net is playing truant. I think it's going to be, it is 9:50. Now we will be having we will decide on 3 days in the next 3 months, 1 hour per month. Any question, is there any sort of assistance is required in understanding and implementing the business ecosystem into your organization? I will always be available. I will be intimating through the group. In between, if anybody has any queries, you can call me up and I will be sending you notes on all these 48 elements. Please give me some time. Within a week, maybe I will be sending it to you.
There is a request from Mr. Manoj Rajgopal.
Yes, Mr. Manoj Rajgopal.
He wants to put the competition slide and the wastages.
You want?
He wants to have a look at the competitions slide, the last one.
The last
wastage.
And the other one.
Other one is wastages, after wastages. Or...
Is there?
One is competition. Competition, the last one.
Just a minute.
Yes, 2 slides back. The next slide, sir.
Oh.
The next slide.
This one.
Yes, sir. The next slide, please. Slide 43.
Is this one you're talking about?
The next one, sir. The slide 43. The one next to this. Yes, yes.
The next to this is this one, my dear friend. You want the one before this?
Yes, yes. That's exactly what I want. No. Slide 43. This one, yes.
I don't remember the number.
No, this is the one. Disruptive forces. That's what he's asking. Go forward.
No. 43 is the Uber analysis.
Yes, same.
You want the Uber analysis?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want some clarification in this?
No. I forgot to take down the notes on that. I think it's.
It will send you everything. Why are you worried?
How do you know the slide number?
He's probably following all the slides. Good one. Mr. Giri wants to talk now.
Yes.
Mr. Giri, please go ahead.
Sir, can I speak now?
Yeah, please.
Sir, thank you for your valuable session, sir. In morning also I have attended in Tamil.
Again, the problem has come in the audio.
I think he has problem with the net connection. Mr. Giri, you can type it in the chat box if you want, if you're not able to talk.
We have got some very senior people here. Mr. Jagdish Adappa is there. Jagdish ji.
Sir, sorry, sir.
Mr. Jagdish.
Sorry, sir.
Can I have your feedback about what you felt about the program? DP, can you just give that feedback form? DP, can you just give the feedback form?
I probably sent it to them in the group. There's some. Now there is some problem. I'm not able to get it. It says you're logged in from another device and all that.
Sir, the program has been very good.
Mr. Manoj?
Yes, the program has been very good, sir.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. But you have pumped in so much of information. I think we need to get your notes to recollect all the things and put it
You will definitely get the notes with all this information. Don't worry about it.
It's too much of information.
Not only that, I will be available to you every month for 1 hour on the Zoom for any clarification. And in addition to that, if you want to telephone and get a clarification, you are most welcome to do so. I will attend to you.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much.
Pankaj ji, are you there?
Yes, sir. I am here, sir.
Good evening. Boliye, kaise laga?
Very interesting. In fact, my group is here. And I think I'm learning once again on accountability and responsibility. I'm going back to the fundamentals. Thanks for waking me up. On this time, it really makes sense. It was pleasure. It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Very nice hearing from you.
Mr. Arun, this is Ram Babu.
Yes, Mr. Ram Babu.
It's an excellent program, and especially the business.
Can you please let me see you first?
No, there is no lighting, proper lighting. Nobody will be able to see me now. So, But the whole program is excellent, and especially the business model, those points, 7 points you mentioned, and also explained very clearly. That's a very good takeaway. And then this coming to this benchmarking and the best practices, right from that employee attitude to relationship with customers, focusing on a customer, and that is also excellent takeaway. And the overall, the program is, as some of the audience, they said that it is all pumped with a lot of information and a lot of concepts, business practices, the best practices, and how to come out of red. These are all really very, very interesting and practical. And thank you very much. Very enlightening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Sir, this is Manoj again.
Yes, Manoj, tell me.
Sir, any possibility that you can put the video of the session online so that in case of any doubts, we can come back and refer back?
I could not understand.
He's asking whether we can give him the video recording of this session.
No, Manoj, video recording will not be available. I will send you the notes, definitely. Okay. Video recording we cannot give. It's a proprietary of the company Top League that cannot be given outside. But definitely you can, I will send you the notes.
Okay.
And one day, 1 hour every month, I will be available on Zoom. I will intimate you which day, any question you want, you can ask. In between, if you have any doubt, please feel free to call me. My number, you know, 93840. Mr. Durga Prasad, you can put my number in the chat.
Yeah.
93840-97866. You can please telephone me. I will definitely attend to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Or any question you can put in the WhatsApp group. I will attend to it positively.
Thanks.
Sir, Nagireddy here, can I talk?
Yes, Mr. Nagireddy, please.
The whole exercise, what's gone through and what you are richly inputted us is, how do we fast forward ourselves, right? How do we fast forward? If somebody can do the business and get yield in 10 years, why not do it in 1 year or 2 years? That is the winner's concept. What do we foresee from this? I mean, what do we foresee?
What do I foresee?
Sir, not you. This question is for my other mates. The reason is there's something else I'm driving at. Gentlemen, what do we foresee from this discussion? Forwardness, right? You want to foresee forwardness, right? 4CF.
That's a beautiful number.
Oh, you didn't get me. My BNI comrades, I'm from Hyderabad BNI. Okay, it's a wonderful. The 4CF you can never forget. You are forcing your future. Adopting the 4CF methodology as Arun sir has gifted us with. Am I right, sir?
Absolutely.
Sir, Subroto again, sir.
Yes, Subroto.
Yeah, sir. So what are your picks on supposing a startup has to happen in this COVID time? What are the special precautions apart from this one should take? Because a startup...
No precaution is needed. Understand one thing, Mr. Subroto. Pestle analysis tells you to assess the environment. On that day when you are starting the business, what the environment is. No other environment is important. You see, as much as you could not have foreseen corona infection.
Yes, absolutely.
You really do not know what else is going to come tomorrow. You will have to plan your business based upon what the ground realities, real-time realities are. Correct or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Going forward, things might be very different. You see, once you have these 48 elements under your belt and you are going to work through them, any sort of a change which happens, you will be ready for it. Change is the only fact of life. Nothing else is a fact. And since change is definitely going to take place, it is absolutely essential for you to prepare for it as though it does not exist. It has to be a seamless transition. You cannot say, if this becomes, I will do this. No. Plan for today. Your pestle analysis says environment not of yesterday or tomorrow. It says pestle environment, it says environment of today. Today's environment is social distancing is a fact. Hygiene is a fact. Taking all these things into account, you have to create the business model for your company. Simple as that.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, you were saying some crystal?
Huh?
You were saying something about crystal as you're talking to Manoj.
Pestle.
Pestle. Okay, pestle. But anyway, crystal is also sounding good. What you have done is you have given us 3C. Crystal clear clarity.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Thanks for your valuable inputs.
Excellent having spent this time with you. I hope you enjoyed and you have something to take back to your organization. My best wishes to you all, and let us meet again. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.